Hey, and welcome to the Grift Code channel. You might be watching this because you're frustrated your maps aren't quite detailed enough. Perhaps you want to be more specific with the areas that you're fishing and you want to make the upgrade for free. Well, you've come to the right place. In this video, I'm going to explain how to improve your sounder from this to this. Let's get into it. G'day and thanks for dropping by. My name is Will and we're chilling out here on my Project Tinny Dora. I know it's been a hot minute since I've released a video as I've moved into this new place and honestly, lockdown just sucked the life out of me. But in any case, I'm here right now to talk about CMAP Genesis and how it can increase the quality of your maps. Now, I'll try my best to go into detail about what Insight Genesis is, how to download the maps, and how to create maps, and I suppose how to get the most out of them. But first, I think it's worth discussing the benefit of more detailed maps. So firstly, let's consider exploring new places. You're a keen fisher, and you're already aware that particular fish hold to particular areas at particular times of the year. But sometimes finding those particulars in a new body of water can be quite tricky. Unless, of course, you have a detailed map and you can find topological features that you know where fish are likely to hold. And so that kind of leads me to point number 2, targeting topology. Now, if you start finding fish at a specific depth or a sharp drop-off or something like that, detailed maps will help you find spots that are really similar. When you start narrowing details down like that, your confidence levels also just goes through the roof. That segues me nicely into point number 3, improving confidence. So fishing is all about variables, and we know that there's a lot of guesswork in fishing. So when you can take the guesswork out, it should be inspiring and confidence boosting to know where you are in the water. And this also helps you understand why your techniques are not working or why they're working. Anyway, you probably know this already, which is why you're here watching this video. So let's go to the bench, download some maps and put them in the unit. So guys, I'm going to preface this section by saying that this isn't the only way to download CMAP Genesis maps to your sounder. You can do it via your mobile and you can do it directly in the sounder, but the reason I'm suggesting this way is because you can get multiple maps onto one card, and I think it's actually just a little bit easier. I mean, you've got a computer, you've got an SD card, and it's pretty quick. In any case, you're going to need 4 main things. Firstly, you're going to need an internet connection. Now, I think you have that under control. Don't ask me why, I just have a hunch. Secondly, you're going to need a computer that is connected to said internet. Thirdly, and probably most importantly, you're going to need a sounder that's compatible with CMAP Genesis. And last, you're going to need a memory card that's suitable for your sounder, and effectively a card reader to connect that SD card into your computer. Now, in my case with the Elite Ti2, I need a micro SD card, and I've got a 16 gig one, as honestly, I don't think it's worth going for anything more than that. Now, additionally, if you go for anything over 32 gigabytes, it may not actually be compatible with your sounder. It's just something you're gonna need to check. Anyway, with all your bits together, you can now jump into CMAP Genesis. Now, as you can imagine, I already have a login, but you can jump in and register. It may give you an option to go for a fancy paid service, but it's not something you actually need for what we're gonna do. So by now, some of you might be asking about what CMAP Genesis is. And the crux of what CMAP Genesis is it's a social map that's an aggregate of data that's collected by fishermen and boaties like you and I. Now, this data is uploaded onto the website voluntarily, and it's then made available to download and put into your sounder. CMAP Genesis is a Navico product, and Navico owns Lowrand, Simrad, and all of that, and I actually think this is a really, really cool product. Now, before we get downloading, there's one thing that you will need to do, and that is to add a plotter to your membership. Now, this isn't a way for them to get any data from you. It's actually just to ensure that the data that you download is suitable and compatible for your sounders. I've already set up 2 of my sounders. However, if you wanted to do it, you just go into Add Device, you chuck in a name, your serial number, content ID, and your model. Now, as it says here, if you're trying to find your serial number and your content ID, you jump into your sounder, you go to your settings, you go to System, scroll down to About, and it's in there somewhere. Okay, your plotters are added, you've got your membership, you've got your SD card, you've got an internet connection and a computer. It is time to start downloading maps. I'm going to use port hacking as an example. I really like this waterway. It's pretty close to home, and it's kind of well mapped as well. So I go over here, you can click your little water drop, and you'll see an option to download. So after clicking download, you'll be prompted to select the plotter or the sounder that you will be applying these maps to. I'm going to go with my bow mount unit and click download map. That's going to collect all the data and convert it to a suitable format for your sounder. Once that's ready, I'm going to go save link as, and I'm going to place this into my SD card. You don't have to download it directly into your SD card. I just find it's a little bit easier. So the file that's downloaded is actually a zip file, and it's full of gobbledygook. I couldn't tell you what this means, but what we need is actually inside the zip file. So we're gonna uncompress it, and we're gonna open up this file here, and inside this folder, we can see another folder named the water body we just downloaded. In my case, port hacking. All we need to do is drag this to the top level of your folder, and then we can delete the other 2 files. And now we have maps on our SD card. That's pretty exciting. Now, I was saying before that I think this is the best method to do this. And the reason why is with this method, I can chuck heaps of maps into here. So we've got the port hacking. Now let's just scroll up here and let's just download Georges River while we're at it. All right, so we have 2 maps in our SD card. You can just keep going, and this is ready to go into our sounder. As you can see, it's immediately asked if I want to change my map data to the ones that we've just downloaded. Now, I don't want the Botany Bay one, I want the port hacking one. So as you can see, the level of detail is pretty bloody insane. But let's just do a quick comparison to what Lowrance would have offered us just off of the unit and what we're seeing in CMAP Genesis. So let's go menu, more options, chart source, Lowrance. I mean, that is just insane. So if we go back to port hacking, you can now see, look at all of this area in here, that it's just a crazy formation that you'd probably want to fish, but it's not obvious with your Lowrance maps. Now, something I'd like to point out is that not all waterways are fully mapped. For instance, the port hacking area has this large hole right in the middle of the waterway that isn't mapped. Now, that isn't an error from the way that you've downloaded it or I've downloaded it. It's just the data is missing. This is where I'm saying the data is an aggregate of volunteered information. What we're going to do next is go out on the water, log all of this data, upload it into the website, and hopefully when this video is all finished, you can download this map without the hole in there. So I can't log that data from being behind the computer here, so we're going to go out of the boat. Well guys, we're back, and truth be told, I actually just went fishing. I didn't spend a whole lot of time dedicated to just logging sonar, but I still have a lot to show you, and it probably speaks volumes to the credit of CMAP Genesis and Lowrance and how easy the system is. When I was just out fishing, I can still log sonar and do a good job of it, and I want to show you how to do that. Now, the first thing I want to show you is how to log sonar, and it's pretty easy on my Elite Ti2. For that, I hit the power button, And all I do is hit Log Sonar, use the default settings, and hit record. And away I go. I'm logging sonar. Now your device may be a little bit different, but it should be pretty similar. But in any case, I want to talk about 3 things that I think are really important. So firstly, I think it's important to realize that CMAP Genesis relies on good data. And good data comes out of slower speeds when you're recording your sonar. The upper limit is probably 10 knots. So if you're a kayaker, unless you're incredibly fast, I don't think you're going to get there. But for those in a bass boat, you need to be a little bit more cautious. Secondly, you need to make sure that your time and date is accurate on your sonar. And this is specifically for tide management. Now, if your time is wrong, it may just offset the tides a little bit incorrectly and you may get incorrect data. Thirdly, and this is more a preference thing, but I prefer to do recordings in shorter stints. Now, this is kind of important in the way that if you do accidentally go over the speed recommendation, it doesn't wipe out the entirety of your recording. So this is why fishing is a really good opportunity to record sonar, because generally you're not moving all that quickly. So that's the basics of recording data. It really is that simple. Now we'll just get on to uploading the data into the social map. I've already taken the SD card out of my sounder and it's in my computer. So the first step is obviously navigating to our SD card. So this is actually my console sounder, and you can see I've got heaps of maps in here, as well as a lot of Sonar Logs. And they are usually SLG files or SL2 files. Now I've got a handful here, some are quite old, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the few that I recorded the other day and I'm gonna upload those. The astute of you might have noticed that some of these are quite large files. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of making them a smaller segment. So there are 2 ways to upload these files. What we can do is we can go to our CMAP Genesis website, and if we go to our dashboard, we can upload directly into the web browser. So we hit web upload, and then we can start adding Sonar Logs here. I'm going to show you a different way because I find this to be a little bit clunky and sometimes it does fail. If we go back to the dashboard, you'll see that there is an option here for the desktop upload tool. Now this is a program that will sit on your computer and you can upload directly into that as opposed to going into the website. It's also a little bit easier and a little less strain on your internet connection as it pre-processes the files before uploading. So that's what we're going to do. I've already downloaded it and we're going to open it up here. The easiest way to do this is actually to take your files off of the SD card and just dragging it onto your desktop. It just means you don't have to upload directly off the card and you can remove it from your computer and put it back into your sonar. So what we need to do is obviously select the files now. So we just have to access our desktop. Oh, it was there already. And then we just open them up. Following that, we hit upload. And if you're very keen, you can read the privacy policy, but I'm just going to hit accept. Now you see here, it is compressing these files prior to upload. And this is why I think this desktop upload tool is far easier than uploading directly to the web. Now I think it's really important to mention that although your file is now uploaded, it doesn't get immediately input into the social map. And that's because CMAP Genesis is actually quite strict about what gets included. It needs to make sure the data is accurate before it gets included. Now, while that's slightly inconvenient, I think it is worth mentioning that it's probably a good thing. It means that when you use the social map, you can trust it when you go out fishing. I'm going to guess there's a few of you there that are a little paranoid about SpotX being shared on CMAP Genesis. When you do upload this stuff from the free account, it does get shared to the public. However, if you decide to go down the paid route, you can keep your data private. Truthfully, I have done this in the past with small bodies of water that can't be accessed by a boat. I mapped most of it with my kayak and I wanted to make sure that my data really wasn't going to be used to ruin SpotX just because it was a small body of water. If it's on CMAP Genesis, people might think, hey, it's a good place to fish. So I kept that private and it isn't in the social maps. Anyway, how about I show you some stuff that I've uploaded previously. So if I go into my dashboard and I go down here to Georges River, I uploaded some stuff a little while ago. If you look here, we have a map, and what we can see is this tiny little segment here that I have recorded. So I did 2 smaller recordings on one day and 1 larger one before. Now this segment of the river is an 8-knot zone, so I trusted that that was all okay. Let's have a look at those smaller sections. This is Oatley boat ramp, and all I did was I fished this area through here, and I came back and I zigzagged as I went back to the boat ramp, and I filled in most of the gaps. And now you guys can see that this is a pretty flat and boring area of the river. So these next segments are going to be uploaded to the port hacking. Now, who knows when they'll go up, in maybe a day or 2, or they may not go up there because I've stuffed up and I've gone a little too quickly. But it is pretty easy. Now, sometimes this depth data is a little hard to read, or it's a little hard to get a good bead on quickly. And I want to show you one last tip, and that's about changing your color palette to something like this. Now, it may sound crazy, and I'll tell you about it in just a second, but I do want to ask a quick favor. If you found this video helpful, please like the video, and if you want to see more videos like this about boats and everything else, fishing and I don't know, hit subscribe. And I suppose while you're at it, why don't you hit up the comments below and tell us about the social maps that you're interested in and what you might be uploading to CMAP Genesis. Anyway, enough with the YouTube stuff, I'm going to tell you all about this. So this is custom depth shading. And the importance of this is being able to identify particular depths really quickly. And it's a high contrast way to differentiate between different levels that you think that the fish are in. Whilst the gradient from blue to white is pretty easy on the eyes, it can be hard to tell if that's the area of water you want to fish. So let's say that you find the fish in 20 feet of water. In this instance, 20 feet is yellow, and you can just spot a yellow area from a mile away. So now you can just follow the area, and I don't know, maybe you want to see a sharp drop off in the 20-foot zone. So you can find this area right here that it just really quickly jumps from 12 feet to 25 feet. So it's a sharp drop off in the 20-foot zone. So that's just one of the ways you can use depth shading to help you. Anyway guys, I think this is really useful. You definitely don't have to use it, but I do find it's really easy to target fish in particular depths of water when you can see it on the map a little bit easier. Alright guys, that taps me of all of the information I have about CMAP Genesis and how to use it. I really hope you found it helpful, and I'm sure it will catch you more fish. In any case, this has been the Grift Co channel. I hope you found this enjoyable, and I hope to see you in the next one. Catch you later.